Hi guys, I just wanted to put a quick note in front of this video simply to say I've been away for a little while, just because I've been kind of lacking the motivation to do videos, and that's just because my own personal sort of mental health has been like through the floor the last couple of weeks. Probably because, our government announced that the pubs can reopen but the gyms can't, and it's like, it's the world we're living in. But nonetheless, I realized, as anyone should, that the best way to kick yourself out of a funk is to just do something. If you do something, then you get yourself moving again. So I thought, right, okay, we're going to throw together an Age of Apocalypse review. And I apologize, this is somewhat thrown together, but it's something. And that's what you got to do. Now I've got the creative juices flowing again. I'm feeling better about doing these videos, and I can actually move on to the next proper project, which is what's actually more fun. And people say oh, this is, you're not just doing reviews like everyone else. So there's another proper project that I'm going to start today because now I'm kind of on a roll. In the meantime though, watch my personal self-esteem get kick-started with a random quick thrown together Age of Apocalypse review. So I apologize for the shambolic nature of this review. It is shambolic, but it's also kind of fun in that regard too. So guys, mwah, it's good to be back. Enjoy.
Not possible.
I've seen that guy somewhere. On TV.
Our hero is light and as thin as a ring.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Age of Apocalypse. Apocalypto. It's the Age of Apocalypse wave. Look at them in all their twisted, evil, subverted glory. Ugh, I don't want to use the word subverted anymore. That's all we ever hear with our recent media is, subversion. We've subverted your expectations. And by subverted, we mean we've done stupid things because you weren't expecting that. Last of Us 2, Last Jedi, everything else. But I digress. This is an action figure podcast, and we have some good action figures. I'm so happy with this. Kind of. There are caveats. There's always caveats. Now, what I want to do here, I was going to do a wave type review. I was going to just go through the figures, order them, decide which are the best, which are the worst, what order they go in, and so on and so forth. And I was going to do that beforehand and then make the video. But then I thought, hang on a second, half the fun is the selection process. So let's pull back a little bit and you're going to see me in real time decide what figures I like, which ones I don't, and what order these guys come and go in. As you can see, we got Blink here, who's not technically part of the wave, but let's face it, we all accept that of course she is. She's a standout Age of Apocalypse character. She came out randomly before the rest of them, but what the hell? She's Age of Apocalypse. So, going in no particular order to get started with, let's take a look at Blink here. So, this is a character who I found very difficult to find a good pose for. But, my goodness, once I hooked her up with this flight stand, she works perfectly with her teleporting little accessory here. Kind of hook that on, and it looks like she's diving straight out of this teleportation hole? Would you call it a teleportation hole? I don't know, there must be a portal. There you go. I knew that was the right word for it. As you can see, the face sculpt is actually, it's kind of pretty, but at the same time, as is often the problem with so many figures, it's such a plain, neutral expression, you know? You're posing these figures, so many of them in dynamic battle-type poses, but they just look very blank, very El Roboto. So it's like, yeah, she's jumping through her portal with her daggers ready, but she's not very excited about it. And that's a shame, Hasbro. Come on, we don't need a billion accessories, but, a neutral face and a sort of grimacing, battle-ready face would be such a great addition to have for every character. But still, the female figure is nicely represented. The color purple doesn't look too weird because She often does, depending on, when you have these characters who are an unusual skin tone, they can often seem a little bit bizarre. But actually, it's not too pink, it's not too purple, it's just right, and she actually ranks pretty highly. So I think Blink is a good one to start with. She's not my favourite, but especially once I've got her in this teleporting position here, I'm a big fan of this character. So I'm going to pop her back over Nya, like so. And let's go to the other side. A character that is very popular in this wave, a lot of people have a lot of love for, is Dark Beast. Hank McCoy, the evil Hank McCoy. And I've always loved this character from AOA. He just looks great. I love the little braids in the hair and the earrings. And he is just like, reminds me of an episode of Red Dwarf where they go to like an evil version of Red Dwarf and they have their sort of evil counterparts, and they have evil Rimmer, who's just this kind of perverted, sort of pierced Frankenfurter looking character. I feel like this Dark Beast is the equivalent of that. He's the perverted mad scientist version of Henry McCoy. And what I love about the character is that nothing particularly bad seems to have happened that prompted him to turn evil. He was just like, the world is pretty evil, I'm gonna do lots of messed up experiments now. And he loves it. So yeah, I love the metallic blue on the legs there. And again, he's just a good big chunky figure. I like chunky figures. So you know what? I'm going to rank him slightly higher than Blink. So already we're getting kind of an order going here. So, I'm going to put sort of, the best here and the worst over here. And then we're going to sort of like put these in a little line and we're going to figure out which is the best figure. Speaking of best figure, look at the translucent, the translucent effects. The whole body is translucent. No wonder I friggin' love this character so much. Again, this is just really bold and striking. I love just the bright burnt orange flame with the black details and the Japanese rising sun mask. I think it just looks like a kabuki kind of thing. Really, really cool. Zero accessories. I think I might as well just state now, all of these characters have zero accessories. What's the trade-off? We get the beautiful big bath. But at the same time, come on, just how expensive is plastic? It's not that expensive. Come on, Hasbro, you can afford a few accessories, but I'll let it go. But no, Sunfire is terrific. You got the flames coming off the back of the head here. It's just such, again, striking character. He would benefit a lot from a flight stand, actually, and also other hands, interchangeable hands, but we're not going to get those. I accept that we don't have those. So instead, he's going to be in this sort of dynamic action pose. And you know what? Do I like him more than Dark Beast? That's the question. You know what? I think I might do. I honestly think I might do. So we're going to rank Sunfire up a little higher. He's going to go one above Dark Beast. Oh, you know what? I'm already conflicted about that. I'll tell you what, let's do an easy one. This guy. F this guy. I cannot stand wacky characters. You all know this about me if you've seen more of my videos. But having said that, the figure is not bad, because again, it's bold colours, but again, this is just so lazy of Hasbro. The character's name is Morph, and yet he's not, there's nothing morphy about him. His character should be called Generic, based off of this, because he's a generic body type and he has, like, his morph head, but there's nothing morphy. Where are the stretchy limbs? Where are the Mr. Fantastic reused arms? Come on, Hasbro, you love reusing parts. Why didn't you reuse any Mr. Fantastic stretchy limbs or anything? Big disappointment in that regard. There's so much you could do with a character called Morph. He's called Morph. Why didn't you morph him? Having said that, I do quite like the puffed out chest, silly sort of pose. It lends itself to the character. So there is that. At least you can pose him sort of in keeping with the style of his character. So, all right, there is that. But there is nothing else. So Morph, you go below Blink. So now we have Morph, Blink, Dark Beast, and Sunfire. Oh, I can swap these two around, but I won't. Now let's go to a character that I'm kind of torn on. I'm kind of torn on this guy. Weapon X. Weapon X Wolverine, a controversial figure. Again, do we need another Wolverine figure? No, of course not. But for Age of Apocalypse, we absolutely need Weapon X figure because he is such an integral part. And again, the design, the concept of the character is badass. And when drawn by Adam Kubert, he just looks so cool. And a lot of that is captured. Like people say, there's too much hair on this figure. But actually, that's the way he's drawn. Unfortunately, he normally wasn't drawn as ugly. Please excuse the little edit there. Had a little outside interference going on there, to use wrestling terminology. So what was I saying? Yeah, the face sculpt is just, it's kind of ugly. Oh, hey, thanks, Mum. Yep, that's what it was. I can't complain. I'm nearly 40 years old and my mother is currently doing my washing. So yeah, she just had to deliver some pants to my temporary room that I'm in. 2020, God, what a year. Anywho, how do you pick up from that? Weapon X, yeah, slightly ugly face design, and also missing. There should be a red triangle here, which is really disappointing. Like, you got the red paint here, but you're missing the triangle on the chin. It's like, come on, Hasbro, this is such a small thing. He does have the extra arm to have the claws coming out, which is a nice touch. I kind of like that, but this is the more, so, he only has that for like one scene at the very end of the series. So I prefer this kind of generic, not generic, but like regular sort of attachment here. The rest of the figure is fine. I mean, there's not really too much they could do with it because it is just a Wolverine repaint, basically. But again, he's kind of nice. A weird, people pointed out, like, it's kind of a weird head joint here. There's a lot of air, a lot of space under there, which is a bit strange. But from head on, he looks fine. And yeah, I kind of like the little extra detail of the hair coming down here. So I like him, but also weird skin tone, weird kind of pinky, orangey, kind of like, just, yeah, a bit of an odd choice. I don't know why he has this skin tone. It's very different from, for example, Wild Child or X-Man or Jean Grey there. So, yeah, he's an okay figure, but just okay. And because of that, he goes above Morph. Does he? That's tough. No, he does, because Morph goes lower because of what he's lacking that he should have, such as, stretchy arms and accessories. So, Weapon X, you are better than Morph, but not as good as Blink, which of course brings me on to Jean Grey. Now, Jean Grey, of course, is a perfect pair to go with Weapon X. They are, teamed up in the miniseries, and this is actually a pretty decent figure, I gotta say. When you look at the amount of detail that goes into the face here, it's very nicely done. They even managed to get the blue makeup going over the eye, but not actually obscuring the pupil. They've done a really nice job with that. So kudos to you, Hasbro. You actually, they did a nice job there. Credit where it's due. So the rest of the figure, it's wonderfully 90s with the big old shoulder pads and the sort of, the soccer mum kind of haircut, which is actually really cool. I think that just works really well. She has kind of a funny pose. Her ankles and feet have her kind of, you can't stand her up straight very well, so she's kind of got this sort of angle, which is fine. It kind of dictates, it almost becomes more of a statue at that point. Again, a character who would maybe benefit from a flight stand, and again, no accessories, no interchangeable hands, but with this face sculpt alone, I think it ranks the character quite highly because I think it's a really, again, it's a neutral pose. I'd like more of a grimacing kind of thing, but failing that, I do dig it. So, you know what? I'm going to place her... do I place her above Blink? That's the question. Blink, she's got the accessory, she's got the portal. It makes her more dynamic. So, with that in mind, I'm going to move Sugar Man here to make a little bit more space because, oh my goodness, we're going to get to him later. When I pick him up, I just knocked him on the floor. I could edit that, but no, I'm not going to. So yeah, we're going to move Blink across here. And Jean Grey, appropriately enough, goes right next to Wolverine there. Now let me rescue Sugar Man from the floor, because what better time than to do this beast of a figure here than right now, since I'm currently throwing him around the bedroom. What a life I'm living right now. Whoa. Sugar Man. Look at this guy. The reason why none of these figures have accessories. Is it worth it? Quite possibly, yes, actually. I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy. this is huge. And I gotta say, when I first saw pictures of the bath with the initial announcements, I was like, ugh, do we want a Sugar Man? He's such a gross, grotesque looking character, and I've only read like a couple of his appearances. Now that I have him in hand, I gotta admit, I was wrong. I was wrong about you. It's just, he's so big and so bizarre and so just unique and awesome. I really like him. I really, really like him. And the detail in the different hands, the creepy pointing at you kind of fingers, and he's got the Sugar Man mallet here. It's really, really nice. One little problem is, because he's so big, you can see all the points where they could have put more paint detail but chose not to. You know, he's got like the little moles and, you know, the different lines and contours in the face that would have looked so good with a bit more of a, you know, shading and a wash. I mean, just look at this plain, it's just plain black. I think there's a tiny bit of shading, but really not much. He could have benefited. I mean, this is just plain blue here, plain burgundy here. There could have been so much more attention to detail added, more silver on the little buckles and what have you. So because he's a big figure, the lack of detail in the paint job really stands out, and that's a real shame, because the rest of this, it's just gnarly and gross and pretty awesome. Speaking of lack of detail, check out what we've got here. A Sugar Man transfer, hideously applied by myself. Whoa! Man down, several men down. We'll fix that, it's all part of the game. Yeah, I had to apply this transfer separately, but it makes such a big difference. Like, why? In every iteration of the Sugar Man in the comics, he has that tattoo there, yet Hasbro it skipped their mind. I mean, come on. What the hell, Hasbro?
This particular transfer was provided by Aroha Decals. Get your big badass decals at arohadecals.com. Check the link in the description below. See, if Sharpness Prime can do it, I can do it.
But the question is, where do we place Sugar Man? Yeah, he's an awesome looking character, a lot of fun, but again, he's so big, he just dominates any display, and I don't have that much affection for the character himself. So even though he is an awesome bath, I'm really torn, because I love McCoy and Sunfire. I'm going to place him below McCoy here. So he, at the moment, is the third best figure of a very strong wave. That's the thing. Even the figures that aren't great in this wave are good. I'm not questioning that at all. So Sugar Man goes above Blink, but below McCoy and Sunfire. And I'm going to run out of space here pretty soon. Coming up next, we have X-Man. This character is so beautifully 90s. Just the costume is just so silly, but great silly. I really dig it. I love how they've incorporated the psi blast, or the psychic energy coming out of his eye. I think that's absolutely terrific. The same with the Cable figure. One problem is the teeny tiny feet. He has really small feet. Don't know why, but it makes him very difficult to stand. But again, the face looks great. It looks like a young Cable, which is pretty cool. But again, like, you know, he's less sort of boring looking expression. He's a bit more sort of kind of look, but still more of a battle ready kind of face would look really cool. With this in mind, though, I do dig him. I don't dig him quite as much as Sugar Man, but more so than Blink. So that makes it very easy to put him right in the middle there. Try and balance on those tiny feet of his. And finally, we have half a figure. Wild Child. Yeah, you know what I mean by half a figure. Without Sabretooth, he's completely missing. So yeah, this is kind of encouraging, because this basically is confirmation that we are getting another wave of AOA figures, which I'm very happy with, because we need Sabretooth to hold his leash, literally. I just found out yesterday that you can clip the chain into the back of his collar, which makes so much sense, and I never realized before. But there you go. It's quite a basic sort of figure. Again, nothing particularly exciting, but the face sculpt is really cool. Like, they've put a lot of effort and dynamic sculpting into this. And look, it's a non-neutral face. He's actually going rah, That's what we want to see. Well done, Hasbro. You gave us a fitting face. I dig this. Again, there's not much to the figure though, so I'm going to place him... Oh, this is tricky. He doesn't... Even though he's not very exciting, there's nothing about him that I don't like. I think this is actually a perfect representation of the character. And because of that, I'm going to place him above... Definitely above Morph. This is actually the final ranking now, so here we go. Above Morph. And I'm going to place him above Weapon X, because Weapon X, he's missing the paint, the face is kind of an ugly expression, and the skin tone is weird. Jean Grey, though, that's the question. Does he go above Jean Grey? He will definitely go above Jean Grey when he's paired up with Sabretooth. So I'm going to keep Jean Grey next to Weapon X in my rankings, because, well, of course, they got to be together. All right, let's shuffle these along now a little bit, because we're going to make some space. See if we can get all these in a line. I think my camera's a little bit too close, but we'll see what we can do. So, does he go above Blink? No. That's a definite. He doesn't go above Blink, because with the flight stand and the teleporting, I think that's such a dynamic looking pose that Blink can go into. So, here is Wild Child. There. I'm happy with that position. Now, we come to the the ones that are very difficult to decide. I think X-Man, he's a good figure, tiny feet, which is a bit annoying, but yeah, he's number 4 of the top 4 there. And let's see if we can squeeze a few more in. Now then, the top 3. This is tough, but I think I will stick with my final ranking. So we've got the grotesque but awesome Sugar Man coming in. So top 3. Sugar Man. That's an easy top 3 right here. And then after that, we have Dark Beast. Timber! Oh God. There's a lot of professionalism on all of these videos. And finally, my number 1 Age of Apocalypse figure, standing atop the mountain of his fallen competitors, is Sunfire. What a great figure this is. Whew. All right, this video's clocked in a lot longer than I was expecting it to be, but hey, that's what happens when you have all these little distractions and you break everything and it all falls down and whatnot. But there's the Age of Apocalypse wave in all its smashed up glory. Wonderful. Guys, I love this wave. I cannot wait for the second wave, and my Age of Apocalypse is on the way, and when he arrives, you better believe that I'm going to be doing a review of him and putting them all together and building an awesome display, because that's why we're here for. In the meantime though, enjoy collecting, have fun, and I'll see you in the next review.